Don't you just love it when one of the first rock records you ever listened to comes back years and years and years later and never sounds better? Oh, let's go. Everybody, thank you for joining today. You've reached the Modest Audiophile channel and my name is Mark. Yes, as the intro stated, today we are going to briefly talk about The Who's Tommy. Yeah, we can go on and on and on about this album. We're not going to do that today. Really what we're going to talk about was this particular release, which is the 2022 Abbey Road Studios version of the half-speed mastering. We'll get a little bit more to that in the credits. So what we're going to do today, we're briefly going to talk about how I came to this album from many years ago all the way to picking up this half-speed mastering, and I didn't quite know what that was when I did it 2 years ago. We'll briefly talk about the credits, and then I'm just going to pull out some tidbits on some of the songs that either some things that I heard new for the first time or certainly more pronounced, and then we'll get everybody out of here, okay? All right, so yesterday I'm sitting there cleaning some records on my Humming Guru, and I hadn't gotten to the W's yet, so I put in this record right here, and I said, well, why not? Let me throw it on the turntable and give it a listen. I hadn't listened to it in this new room yet. The last time we listened to this was probably about 4 or 5 months ago in the last place, and again, doing the sonic cleaning maybe made it a little bit better. I don't know. But I will say that this thing really blew my mind again. Every time I listen to it, it blows my mind. So real quick, let's go over how I came to Tommy. So I think it was 1978-ish. Yeah, I'm in 4th grade. And if you can picture this, a bunch of kids in their Granimals, right? Or their, for those Gen Xers who knew what Granimals were. Granimals or Toughskins or whatever people were wearing at the time. We were all sitting in a little music room with linoleum floors and little carpet remnants that we all had to sit on. And yeah, this album wasn't even out a full 10 years yet, and we had some young music teacher, I remember, who was just so enthusiastic about teaching us about this album. I remember he had the blackboard, and it left a mark for sure. So yeah, so that's my background with Tommy in particular. So real quick, we'll go over a little bit of the presentation of this album. We'll go a little bit over the credits, and then like I stated, we'll go through some of the songs of new things that I had never heard before until I started listening to this half-speed master. All right? All right. So, The Who's Tommy was the 4th overall studio album for The Who, and it was released on May 19th, 1969, a couple months before I was born. This half-speed master was mastered by John Astley over at Close to the Edge Mastering. The lacquer was cut at Abbey Road Studios by Miles Showell, and it was pressed by Optimal Media. So let's see, what comes in the box? So presentation-wise, you have a beautiful tri-fold cover here. Very glossy. Open it up once. And you see all the reflections here. Open it up twice. Right? See all that? Yeah. All right, let's close this up. You got that there. And then on the back, you do have the song and the runouts and everything else. Okay, now on the inside, it did come with a couple pieces of candy. One of which is the half-speed mastering certificate. I know. Ooh. Anyway, you get that. It's from Abbey Road Studios. Really quick, for those that don't know about the half-speed mastering, this record was cut using a precision technique known as half-speed mastering. The procedure requires the source master and the cutting lathe to run at half speed on a specially adapted Neumann VMS-80 lathe. This rare and specialized technique transforms difficult-to-cut high-end frequencies into relatively easy-to-cut mid-range frequencies. The result is a cut with excellent high-frequency response and very solid and stable stereo images. In short, half-speed mastering produces a master of the highest quality that enables the pressing plant to produce a superlative record. Miles Showell, mastering engineer, Abbey Road Studios. Well, I will say is, yes, this was the very first half-speed mastering record that I bought. Again, I bought it 2 years ago. I had no clue what half-speed mastering was. I can attest, yes, you get a lot more detail. We'll get through that until we get to some of the songs here. The detail on this is, oh, it's awesome. You get some good low-end punch as well. It is I think it's the best version of this album that I've ever heard, period. Now, I bought some other half-speed masterings by the same individuals as well. A couple Paul McCartney and Wings albums, etc., etc. I'll talk about those another time. But every one that I've gotten has been really, really good. I'm a fan. All right, another thing that came inside was this booklet that comes with all of the lyrics and some artwork. Okay, I'll put the pictures up of the artwork here as we go by. See if there's anything else I want to pull out of here real quick. Yeah, I mean this is really nice. Look at that. Look at that. So yes, you do get a couple things in here. At the end, we'll go through what I paid for it. I think what I paid for it a couple years ago, but we'll go through what it is, what it's going for today, as well as the regular repress of a 2012 copy, I believe. As far as the condition of this album goes, and just like every other half-speed mastering I've got from Abbey Road Studios, the condition's been fabulous. The packaging has been really, really solid. And all the records have been, I've been lucky, all the records have been very flat. No pops, scratches, skips, background noise, none to speak of. This has been very quiet vinyl, very enjoyable vinyl. So, how does it sound? So, a couple things I'll talk about and how it sounds first. We'll go over just some of the words that come to mind, and then as far as the treble, mids, and bass, soundstage and imaging we'll discuss, and then we'll go through a couple dB checks, and then just some of the things I want to pull out of some of the songs that I had never really heard before, first time hearing it. Even yesterday when I listened to it probably for the 10th time in 2 years, I'm still pulling things out of here that I've never heard before, and that's always fun, right? All right, so what I put here as far as how it sounds, this is, I just put detail and more detail. Yeah, this is a detail monster. It's not harsh, don't get me wrong there. Real quick, maybe it's perhaps from what I'm listening to this on, so I'll back up a little bit. What I'm listening to this on is an Audio-Technica turntable with an upgraded cart. Please see the description below for the actual stylus that I'm using. And that is going through a Pro-Ject 2-box S2 Phono preamp, going into my Rotel A11 Tribute integrated amplifier, and then out these Wharfedale Denton 85th Anniversary Edition speakers. So my setup is probably on just a shade on the warm side, and maybe that's because of the speakers a little bit. But I still get a lot of that detail up top as well, and I've heard some, you go into the forums and look up this record, for the most part people really enjoy this record, or this version of it. But some people say it's a little bit too bright. Again, if you have a bright system, if you have a analytical system, maybe this might sound a little bit too bright. Again, on my system, it's darn near perfect, really, really good. So I guess this gets us to the bass and the mids. Yeah, the bass in some of these songs is full and forward. It's very good. Nice bass extensions. You can feel it as much as hear it. The mids are very, very good, right? You get the vocals, which are outstanding. The guitars, the drums, everything in the mid-range is coming through very, very good as well. So it's an overall, I think, a very balanced sounding album, from your highs to your lows and everything in between. Very, very enjoyable. One more thing about the treble, and this will come up in a lot of the different songs that we talk about, the cymbals and the cymbal decay. Some of the best, this is some of the best I've heard on any record that I own. It's really, the cymbals are really, really good on this. Again, the detail. This album will I'm going to throw different words at you that may sound a little bit nuts, but you can see it as much as hear it. This album has texture. It has weight behind it. Clarity. The layering is outstanding. So for a Gen Xer, you may remember, right, the viewfinders, right? You put up to your thing and you'd have some three-dimensional images. Yeah, the imaging on this thing is so layered that it almost feels like you're looking through an old viewfinder. Crisp drums I put. Some of these songs are just so lush and right in your face. It's a really, really good sounding album. The space that you get in this album, again, this may be a direct result of the overall clarity and detail you're getting, but you are getting a really good sensation of space in the room. As far as soundstage and imaging goes, really, really good. The overall soundstage in this case is speakers are 8 feet apart. They're 3.5 feet away from the wall. I'm sitting 8 feet away. And the soundstage is really, it's encircling you. So you really get that sensation that you close your eyes and you're hearing the soundstage coming directly at you from left and right as well as in front of you, so it has that kind of horseshoe approach to it. And as far as the overall height goes on this thing, some of the songs you almost feel like the soundstage is coming up and over. So I'm hearing certain, there'll be a tambourine or something like that, or a backing vocals that I can look, close my eyes and I point up and I'm hearing it. And I find out where my finger's pointing, and I'm actually hearing this thing come out of the ceiling, maybe a couple of feet in front of me. So, yeah, this is an album that you close your eyes and you can get engulfed in the overall soundstage. Really, really remarkable soundstage. So let's go through some of the decibel level checks that I did. I did them on 3 different songs, and then we'll get into the songs themselves. The first dB check I did was Acid Queen, and it's on the second side, I believe. The low end was 62, the high end was 88, and I had an average listening of 82 decibels. Now, the volume is set on my Rotel at 74, and that's typically where I listen to it, and then that usually gets me an overall average decibel listening somewhere between, say, 81 and 85 on most of the records that I'll listen to. The next one I did was Underture. The last song on side 2. And this one had a lot of range in it. Low end was 56, high end was 95, and the average listening was 83. That song I thought really showcased the dynamic range pretty well on this album. And the last one I did, I just had to, right? So we did Pinball Wizard as well, and that has a low end of 64 decibels, a high end of 95 decibels, and an average of 82. So there you go. Regardless of where my low end and my high end are, the average here are pretty much in line with 82 or 83 decibels. All right, so let's go on to side 1 real quick. Overture starts. Really what I put, it's a great way to start the album. Immediately you see the image in your mind's eye. Great image, stable image, great separation of instruments, highly detailed as well. And love the horns that are coming out of the song. Great way to start this album, and you know you're in for a really good ride. All right, second song, It's a Boy. I put a star next to this one because it was always a passing song for me, but on this half-speed master, I like it more and more every time I listen to it. Fantastic. On the right, you've got Pete's acoustic guitar coming out, and on the left, you got his vocals, okay? And then I put first verse, it's just so pristine. The sound of that acoustic guitar is so pristine. It's right there. You hear everything coming out of that acoustic guitar, and a nice change is after the first verse. The acoustic guitar comes out of the right side of the soundstage and then winds up in the center of the soundstage. Yeah, It's a Boy. It's the best version I've heard of it. It sounds great. Going into 1921, I put another note here. Love this one. Again, another song that I'd let it go pass on by because it never really grabbed me. On this album, everything was grabbing me. Powerful piano to open. I put, and the drums definitely have some weight behind it. So you get that sense of not only, the punch, but you get that oomph to come with those drums as well. So although in addition to getting some really great high-end detail, I think this half-speed mastering is really producing some good oomph behind the drums. Yeah, oomph. What else did I put? Great separation of backing vocals. And that's going to be prevalent through this entire album where, yeah, the backing vocals are pretty much high up in the soundstage, and you can hear them as individuals as well as the overall harmonies of the backing vocals. Really, really good. That goes into Amazing Journey. And a couple things that I had never heard on this song before is that, well, everyone you have heard of this, you hear that it's almost like a backward tape sound. You hear that high-pitched, almost squeal, whip, or hard to articulate it. But in here, it's definitely more prevalent than other versions of this song that I've heard before. Coming out of the center, or just left of center, actually, some background guitar that I'd never really heard before. It's so easy to listen to on this that you can actually focus on it and go, wow, that's pretty good. I haven't heard that before. The drums are in the center, but a little bit pushed back behind the vocals, giving it a really nice sense of depth. All right, Sparks. First thing I put, lush soundscape and wide soundstage. So yeah, the fifth song on this album is called Sparks, and it's just lush and wide. Great drums and percussion I put. In the upper right-hand side of the soundstage, you're getting a tambourine shaking that is not as pronounced is more pronounced, I should say, on this version, this half-speed master, than I've heard in other versions of this album before. Yeah, really, really good. Again, it goes to that detail. The tambourine was right there. It's great. And it goes to the last song on this side. I believe it's a Sonny Boy Williamson song. I don't have the notes, but I believe that's what it is. Eyesight to the Blind. I didn't know that either, by the way. I put Roger's vocals are tall and center on this one. This one was kicking it. In fact, I got so lost in the song that I almost forgot to go flip the record at the end of this one. Great, powerful drums in the center as well, I put. Yeah, powerful song. This is a really powerful song. It never came through quite that way to me before. But again, this mastering on the system right now, you're getting a good amount of punch. It's a powerful song. Side 2 starts with Christmas, right? Boom, right away. Bigger in every way. It was great. Just great listening to Christmas on this one. What I will say is the first time you hear, Tommy, can you hear me? There is a piano note. The decay or extension or whatever the proper terminology is, wow, it really lasted a long time. That you could hear the entire note just decay from its inception to oblivion. I never quite noticed that before. The decay on the piano after the first verse was fantastic. All right, that goes into the second song, Cousin Kevin. Yeah, I don't remember them talking about this song in particular in grammar school, but what I did put about here was that you get some shimmering cymbals on this one. The vocals are tall and coming out of the center. You're hearing more individuals in this song than you heard before, certainly, obviously in the background vocals. The end of this song ends with a cymbal decay. And again, it lasts that much longer on this cut of this record than previous ones I've listened to. Everything was highly detailed, more sensitive. Really, really nice. That goes into the third song, Acid Queen, another one that I did the dB check on. What I'll say about this one is, first off, Pete's vocals are fantastic on this song. I really dig his vocals on this song. I put great instrument separation as well. Yeah, really, really enjoyable. I forgot how much I like this song. Yeah, really good. The overall soundstage was wide and it had some depth to it. And again, the imaging was just so very precise. Fantastic. The last song on this first record is Underture. and I just said it's a fun 10-minute journey. I mean, Underture is really a microcosm of the entire Tommy album. The left side, you have a tambourine coming out the left side, and it's more precise than I've ever heard it on this song. It's not the Doors' debut. It's not the end precise, meaning on the Doors' debut album, the end, the last song of the album. That's the best damn tambourine I've ever heard. But in this case here on Underture, yeah, it was more prevalent than I've ever heard it before. It was really, really nice to hear. You get those wood clackers or wood sticks, I'm not sure what they're called, but right, you've heard them at the beginning of the song Magic Bus. I'd never heard them on this song before. They're there. They were buried, and you can still, they're still back in the mix, but you can hear those wooden clackers or whatever they're called. I'll put a picture of them somewhere around here of what their actual name is. But yeah, that was new for me. I hadn't heard that before. And then there's a couple songs where you hear, I think, timpani drums or kettle drums, whatever you want to call, right? Those big drums. This is the first song it comes up on, I think, in this album. But anyway, it really provides depth and space. You're hearing maybe the natural reverb of these things, the room acoustics of these kettle drums or timpani drums. They sounded absolutely fantastic, like they're in your room. What I put here was that you get the precision of the highly detailed instruments, but then you also get the room and the reverb. And I thought on this song in particular, it was really cool. You had a lush reverb going back there, but in front of it, you had some very precise sounding instruments. I probably didn't say that right, but it was a nice listening experience. Yeah. All right. So now we got to flip on to the second album here. So we'll call it side 3. Starts with Do You Think It's All Right? Best version I've heard. Fiddle About was big and wide than I remembered. Yeah, big and wide. Another song they didn't really go over too much in detail in 4th grade was Fiddle About. That brings us to the most popular song on the album, Pinball Wizard. Another song that I thought was pristine sounding. We all know it, coming out of the right. Just Pete's acoustic guitar, all that power behind it. So that starts, right? Then on the left side of the sound stage, you get Entwistle's bass, and that thing is growling. I mean, literally growling coming out of these speakers. And then, then the rest of the band comes in, right? So a couple more things I wanted to point out, and this is, there's a background guitar on the left side of the soundstage as you get into the verses, and it's more pronounced here. Didn't quite hear it in the mix, again, on the digital copies that I've listened to, certainly in the car, or the original version of this album as well. I thought it was really pulling out a little bit more here. And I heard some new guitar notes as well, and they were coming out of just right of center. Just some playing that I'd never really heard before. It's in the background a little bit, but it's definitely there. And again, that's cool. That's part of the reason why I love this hobby so much, is hearing things for the first time in songs that you've listened to all your life. Really cool. So yeah, a couple new things in Pinball Wizard there. Okay, then after Pinball Wizard, we've got Go to the Mirror, the 5th song, into Tommy Can You Hear Me, into Smash the Mirror, and into Sensation. So these songs I definitely remember, being in grammar school, sitting on that carpet remnant. What I'll say about Go to the Mirror, it's big, it's crisp, it has really nice bass coming out of this song as well. That goes into Tommy Can You Hear Me, and again, Smash the Mirror, Sensation. Everything is just bigger than I remembered it. And you get a lot more presence in the room than I had recalled as well. Yeah, so everything is bigger and a better image I put here. In the last song, Sensation, during the verses, on the left side of the soundstage is a piano playing. And it's quite a bit more pronounced here than I've heard it in other versions of this record as well. Again, bringing out, I think, as much detail as they possibly could on this release. Really nice to listen to. All right, let's bring it over to side 4. The last side starts right with Miracle Cure, and that goes into Sally Simpson. For Sally Simpson, great piano in the center. It's a little bit back a bit. Again, showing showing the depth within the overall soundstage. Really, really nice. Okay, it goes into I'm Free, one of my favorite songs on the album. Just as far as the soundstage looks like in your mind's eye, left side you got the guitar, right side is the piano, center you got vocals and drums, all right? This thing does have more presence than I remember it. The acoustic on the right is just full of body, meat, whatever you, whatever adjective you want to throw out there that gives it life. Yeah, it was more alive than I remembered it in the past. Certainly much, much more realistic coming out of that right-hand side of the soundstage. And then that goes into the fourth song called Welcome. You hear lots of space in the room that I haven't really heard before with this song. Really good depth. Roger's quote, "Come to this house," is huge. It just reverberated in this room really, really well. Maybe that's not the right word, but "come to this house," that line, yeah, the first time Roger says it, or when he says it with some power behind it, you really feel it. Sounds great. Very detailed backing vocals and percussion I put. And then at the end, the welcome, the whisper, welcome, the best, it was right there, it was really cool. The best whisper of welcome I've heard. Goes into Tommy's Holiday Camp, which was very fun. And then at the end, We're Not Gonna Take It. And I put best studio version ever. I key on studio version ever. Lots of layers, again, gives you that viewfinder type of imaging, right? With all the layers of images stacked up one in front of the other. Really nice. I said studio version because certainly live at Leeds, and I think actually on in Woodstock, the live version of this, so much more powerful. Yeah, I really like the live version of We're Not Gonna Take It much better than this. I mean, this is great, but you certainly get a lot more emotion out of the live version. All right, so where does that leave us? This is a fantastic album. Everybody knows of our age group, right? Gen Xers and certainly boomers before us. The Who, Tommy, fantastic album. But let's be honest, there were a lot of songs in here that in the past you just wanted to get through quickly, you didn't really want to listen to it, which gets me more back to the point of listening to vinyl, where you're stuck. You have to sit here and listen to the whole record in the manner in which it was put down. That I do like that quite a bit. It forces you to relax and really take in the music. But on this half-speed mastering, it is so much more detailed and so much more, in my opinion, enjoyable to listen to, that again, some of those songs like It's a Boy in 1921, that I never heard it like this before. It was really, again, for a soundstage and imaging person, and that's really what I love about this hobby. I love, it's you close your eyes, right, and you get a playground there, a soundscape playground, and in this case, you do get a lot more of that than I'd say previous versions of this album. Never listened to an original copy. Sorry, everybody, it's unobtainium for me. I don't have that. But I think that this half-speed mastering is really, really good. I don't recall what I paid for it, but right now I saw a price, and I'll put it here as well, of $48.99. $48.99 is a strange price. But this is for the 2022 half-speed mastering edition from Abbey Road Studios. If you do want on vinyl a 2014 reissue of the original, I think, mastering of this album, if I'm not mistaken, you can get that for $37.99 or $38. Yeah, for about $11 difference, personally speaking, I'm going to go for the half-speed mastering all day long. So if you've got a system similar to mine, a modestly priced system where it's maybe just a shade warm of center, where you're still getting the details up top, but you're not getting any fatigue. You're not getting any ear fatigue listening to those high-end frequencies. You're gonna love this half-speed mastering of the Who's Tommy. So that's it, everybody. I didn't think I'd be doing a review on this thing today. I thought I had, right, if you've been watching some of the last couple videos I did, there were 3 albums that I purchased in the last month and a half that I wanted to get through, and I haven't done the 3rd one yet. I was cleaning this one and I said, let's put it on for just pure enjoyment, and it got me thinking. It got me thinking that I really want to toot the horn of the half-speed mastering for The Who's Tommy, because it really, I think, puts a lot more life into this album than I was certainly hearing from other versions of this before. Can't speak for everybody, but as far as my ears, this one has a lot more detail, a lot more depth. The image is better, the overall sound stage is better, and it's certainly a much more enjoyable listen overall. So, do yourself a favor. If you have the means, yeah, go out there, pick this thing up. It's a double album, so you're gonna have to plan some time. Get your favorite beverage, put it down, put this thing on the turntable, turn your lights down a little bit, and hopefully everybody will leave you alone for about an hour, hour and a half, and you can enjoy this just like I did. So now that I got through this, hopefully I can get back to the next album that I thought I was gonna do the review for next. And it was one of those ones that I just had to scratch an itch because I didn't know what all the hubbub was about. Well, now I do, and that's gonna come out on the next video, I think. We'll see. Other than that, I hope everybody has a great rest of your week, and I hope to see you back here soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.